It's Throwback to GP 2016 time. So let's analyze the questions for points and examples you can raise if these issues come out again. Considering the money involved, should developing countries be allowed to host major sporting events? That phrase, considering the money involved, it focuses the question on the economic angle. So let's look at the economic-related duties that every country is supposed to carry out. First, a country has to meet its citizens' basic needs. That means providing for things like jobs, healthcare, and education. Second, a country must also strengthen the country's cultural power and political position in the world, because that does attract economic investments and opportunities. Now, the main subject of this question is developing countries. Developing countries are not necessarily poor countries. They are what the World Bank classifies as middle-income countries. They are not as extensively industrialized as high-income countries, and they also struggle with issues like lower life expectancy and lower standards of living. Lower middle-income developing countries such as India and Indonesia are not the ones bidding to run major sporting events. It is the upper middle-income developing countries like Mexico, South Africa, China, Russia, Greece, and Brazil who nurse greater ambitions to host the next World Cup or Olympics. These countries still struggle with the problems of lower life expectancy and standards of living. But they also have industrialized more aggressively and may have other characteristics like strong political leadership, powerful national corporations, and fast-growing cities that give them every reason to believe that they can run the games just as successfully as high-income countries. Do developing countries benefit economically from hosting a big sporting event? There are three possible ways. 1. More tourism dollars from visitors that will supposedly come flooding in. 2. More investment into infrastructure that the country supposedly needs anyway, like roads and hotels. 3. Better international reputation. Executing a major sports event well does boost investor confidence in your country. But history has shown that running big sporting events is profitable mostly for developed countries or upper middle income developing countries with strong financial positions. China would be a rare example of an upper middle income developing country that has managed to reap all three benefits. The 2008 Beijing Olympics was widely perceived as a symbol of China's rising power in the world. China may have spent $44 billion, but it had the booming economy to finance it, and it managed to even make a profit of $146 million. Unfortunately, there are many more examples of developing countries in weaker financial positions that were burnt badly by their gamble. The most prominent example would be the Athens Olympics. Greece was an upper middle income economy going through a recession. It bid for the games hoping for an economic boost, but got $11 billion of debt instead. Some economists even suggest that the Olympics helped to accelerate Greece's current decline. Why is running a big international sporting event such a terrible deal for most developing countries? First, the expenditure required for infrastructure to run such games is substantially higher for developing countries. For example, South Africa had to build new stadiums from scratch for its 2010 World Cup and spent $1.3 billion. Compare that to the 1994 World Cup, where America only spent $30 million on stadiums because it merely repurposed structures it already had. Second, the possible income streams from running such games is also far lower for developing countries. For example, USA profited greatly from its Los Angeles and Atlanta Olympics because its population was rich enough to buy expensive tickets and merchandise. It also had a sophisticated media ecosystem that could negotiate a wealth of lucrative advertising and licensing deals. Third, and most importantly, the opportunity cost of capital is much higher for developing countries. The cost of building an Olympic-sized pool is not just about the amount of money needed to build it, but rather the alternative value to society if the same amount of money could have been spent on the next best public project. For example, Brazil spent billions of dollars on running the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Rio Olympics. But today, Rio is close to bankrupt and its people are struggling. If Brazil hadn't spent $3.6 billion on stadiums alone for the World Cup, what else could it have purchased for its people? The human cost of such decisions is especially high in developing countries which struggle with corruption. For example, the bill for Russia's 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics ran up to $51 billion. But journalists have alleged that the overinflated construction projects mostly went to shady companies owned by politicians. That resulted in poorly constructed facilities that didn't benefit the people. But the biggest debate in this question is in the phrase, "be allowed to." It requires us to take a stand on whether we believe it is morally right to give some countries the freedom to make decisions other countries may believe are harmful for them. Sovereignty, the right to rule ourselves, is always going to be a contentious issue. Should the powerful take more control or give more freedom to the less powerful to choose their path, even if it leads to folly? How you answer will have to be a powerful choice you have to make for yourself. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about how the world works, click on the links below to get a free trial class at School of Thought. If you want a full breakdown of all GP essays of 2016, find out in the link below how to get our annual Broader Perspectives essay issue.